The risks that Brexit poses aren't new. They're the same risks that trustees face every day. But what Brexit does bring is almost a platform for more extreme risks to emerge, and if not extreme, then risks that are more unlikely on a normal day. So, for example, an equity market crash or extremely low gilt yields.
A time when it's exceptionally important to make sure we properly understand the employer covenant. We know things like currency movements are likely to change. We know markets might move. We know there might be strain around trade, around overseas trade, around import and export from the EU.
On the administration side, there are two key areas we've been focusing on with regards to Brexit and the scenario of no deal. First is making sure we're prepared for the potential difficulty of paying our pensions based in the EU. And the second one is during that transition period, making sure that we've got sufficient funds in our bank account in order to meet our administration outgoings.
Important that clients take steps to understand the level of risks being taken. And this can include understanding the level of UK equity exposure or property exposure, and then trying to align that with their long-term strategic asset allocation. It also might be important for clients to consider using hedges and the appropriate level of hedging within their portfolio.
If you're a trustee with a defined benefit pension scheme, what should you be thinking about? In December 2015, the pensions regulator introduced guidance for integrated risk management, and that set out how trustees should monitor risks across the three main areas of risk that are funding, covenant and investment. Trustees should understand the risks within each of these areas, but also how risks cross over and interact across three areas. And ultimately, from that guidance, trustees should develop an integrated risk management framework where they identify the main risks faced by the scheme, assess these risks and put in place contingency plans.
Clients should also consider the level of cash in their portfolio, as you'd want to avoid redemptions of assets around the 29th of March.
Ideally, trustees should be looking to get daily funding information. By having this information, it means that you're aware at all times of how markets are affecting the funding position of your scheme, and you can then use that IRM framework to put in place decisions and react in a timely manner to whatever's going on round about you. Trustees should also have access to scenario planning tools that allow them to understand the impact of certain scenarios. So, for example, if we did enter a very low gilt yield environment, if gilt yields fell by 1%, how does that affect your pension scheme?
Around trade, there are obviously imports and exports to think about to and from continental Europe. We're seeing a lot of employers that are thinking of and enacting plans to stockpile raw materials that they import from the EU.
Trustees should be mindful of any member options that use market-related factors. So, for example, transfer values or cash commutation options that might be market-related. If we do experience extreme market conditions, so again, for example, if we enter that very low gilt yield environment, transfer values will be extremely high. So trustees should really be aware of all the activity on their pension scheme and what the numbers are looking like. And if there was a low gilt yield environment and very high transfer values, trustees might decide to put them on hold until it's better understood.
To control the level of risk in a portfolio, clients may want to use triggers. As gilt yields could be very volatile, triggers could get hit quite quickly. So it's important that they understand where their funding level is and how it could be affected. Clients' investments with fund managers need to be considered in the sense that small fund managers may not have enough resources to get dedicated to a Brexit plan. So if trustees are allocated to a small fund manager, they need to ensure that they have the necessary steps to cope with any uncertainty.
Trustees should also be aware of any employer-sponsored exercises that are going on. So, for example, liability management exercises where members are getting various options. Again, if the options are market-related, it's about observing this and making decisions.
Again, with regards to advising our clients, there are still a lot of uncertainties. We're providing reassurance with regards to the fact that we are in a position to move forward quickly. We know the affected members, so if the trustees wish to communicate to the affected members, we can provide that list of members readily.
We are talking to employers ourselves to understand what they're doing and how they're making plans, what their plans entail for the protection of the schemes that we're involved in. We'd encourage other trustees to do the same. We'd also suggest that if the answers are not providing comfort, then this is an important time to think about taking external covenant advice. If a scheme already has an advisor, then trustees should be talking to that covenant advisor in any case.
Planning is key. So having these discussions up front, having that integrated risk management framework in place means that you identify what could happen and you agree now what your contingency plans would be. So that means that when you hit March, you have in place a plan for whatever happens for every eventuality, and you're able to react quickly and react timely, and overall that should result in a better outcome for pension scheme members.